Welcome to your Tarot class. You are going to have so much fun. Suzanne Wagner is going to be teaching it. She wrote this book over years, as you'll find out, and heard a little bit about her, explain her, everything is a path. She looks fearless because she wears a smile, but this is one of the most amazing women that just faces fear, again with a smile, feels it all, and you'll get that in your book. It is a feeling book. So, welcome on a journey that's going to be phenomenal. It's got levels and layers and understandings. Yes, you'll get everything you need in 2 days, but you'll want to revisit it because it is that intense and that deep. And she'll let you do that with the book. Today she'll give you the inspiration and the intuition, and you will leave fully confident. But you will build on that in your depth. You need to. That's what life teaches us. She's one of the best teachers I've ever had of life. She does it with a smile, and she feels it all, and she knows how you're feeling. So, get it on for a ride. Welcome.
So, Tarot is one of my most favorite things to teach in the whole entire world because the Tarot is the pathway of consciousness, and there are universal pathways of consciousness that help you, inspire you, and guide you. So the first thing in knowing Tarot is that there are no good cards or bad cards. So a lot of people, especially when you see the movies, they pull the death card and everybody freaks out, right? Well, what's really odd is that the one card that is not probably the worst death card is the death card in Tarot. So the death card actually means ego death or death of identity or death of old way of being. And as you know, sometimes identity deaths can be incredibly painful. They could be more painful than if somebody shot you, right? So what's cool is that the cards all have positive and negative characteristics, and there's sort of a warning system. So when you're working with the Tarot and you see the Devil card is a warning that something's coming into your life, that you're about to be tempted. But again, people have these judgments about what they think the Devil card is, and they think the devil is bad. There's this really, oh my God, something really bad is happening. And I'm like, no, it's a warning that you're about to be tempted in an area that, you might encounter your greed factor or your need for attention or some sexual energy coming towards you. But it's really about temptation and obsession and secret plans. So like when you say you're going to do something but you really have this other agenda over here. So what's great about the Tarot and the example of the Devil card is that if I get the Devil card and I'm pulling cards for me for the day, I know something's coming into my scope that day that I have to be super aware of to be tempted. And in being tempted, it's about being conscious. So it's, Lucifer, whose name means light bearer or light giver, is actually supposed to show you the pathway to God by offering you temptation, to show you where you are hidden from yourself in some way, okay? So Tarot tries to take out the negative of stereotypes and to say, you can choose. You could choose temptation. And if you choose temptation, there are consequences, right? And it says, you have to be careful because now you could get into a spiral of obsession and I want more, 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 more. But also you could say, oh, I'm in a place of awareness and oh, I'm noticing this temptation and I'm noticing that this person is attracted to me and I'm noticing there's sexual energy coming towards me and I can feel that and choose from an authentic place. So how can I stay open with my energy and not shut down like, ooh, that person's sending me sexual energy, but to just stay open and to be present with sexual energy and life force energy, which is part of life, so that it's everywhere, that you have to learn to navigate those temptations and those obsessions and kind of know what your brain is doing. So I know for myself when I was younger, it was like, oh, that guy likes me. Do I have to have sex with him? Right? That's a classic example of the Devil card. It's like, well, he likes me, so do I need to go to first base or second base or third, right? So, but you can be in a conscious place of choice and to recognize that you have a spiritual self and you have a sexual self, a human self, and both need to be worked together. Okay, so one can't override the other, because when you do that, in the Devil card example of a negative would be that you would get drunk, have sex with somebody, wake up the next morning and go, oh my gosh, what the heck just happened, right? And that's an example of the devil card taking over, right? Whereas instead you could say, I'm really attracted to this person. This is probably not the best choice for me right now. I think I'd better leave this party now, right? And feel that place, feel that energy, and notice what's coming up, and notice what that person was reflecting to me, and kind of go, wow, I really like that that person gave me that much energy and attention. I'm not getting that in my life in some way. Maybe I better have a talk with my husband about what I'm not getting in my relationship. You see? So it's sort of like that the tarot becomes a reflection of where you are unresolved, where you are dealing with archetypes that you aren't aware of. So what happens is that you are all of these cards. And you are the good and the bad of all of those cards. So deep down in your core, in your DNA, you actually are this. You already know all of this completely. It's just that in life we find places where we have repeats. So when you're in life, you kind of go, gosh, why does that thing keep happening to me, right? Well, you'll notice it's a card. It's a particular card, and their archetype, you're locked in the negative aspect of that archetype, and you're not learning the lesson of that archetype. You're letting that archetype run you in the negative way, and you're not conscious that it's running you. Okay? So what's beautiful about tarot is is the exploration in yourself. It's the exploration that you need all of these archetypes in your life to be full. I remember a teacher of mine said to me, no part of yourself may be left behind. If you want to ascend, if you want to transcend, you must bring all of you along for the ride. Your human self, your sexual self, your emotional self, your mental self, your energetic self, your spiritual self. You have to bring all of these parts along, and they all have to be like, you are a board of directors, and you personally are the chairman of the board. So you have these archetypes inside of you, and they're sometimes fighting. You know, and what's really cool is as we play with this, we're going to find archetypes that you're in conflict with. You know, I'll have you say, pull a card, and which archetype is in conflict with which archetype. And then we're going to discuss that, and you're going to start to see inside of you, wow, yeah, those two places are in conflict, they're not in agreement. And when you are in not agreement, then that problem will manifest in your external world because you can't see it, you're blind to it. So then if you're getting this thing repeating over and over in your life, that you actually have to kind of say, okay, I have to pull some cards. What archetypes do I need to work with here? What meditations do I need to work with to help me balance these two archetypes within myself? And then when you do that, you'll notice that your external will change because you finally have heard these board members. It's kind of like you're the chairman of the board, and this one board member keeps storming out of the room, and you're not listening to them. And so they're like, well, forget you. I'm gonna manipulate you. I'm gonna sabotage you. I'm gonna undercut you in certain ways. So what I love about the tarot is that there are the major arcana, the minor arcana, and the court cards. The major arcana are the universal pathways, and the major arcana is what makes the tarot really different than a normal deck of cards. So the major arcana is that there are beginnings, middles, and ends, okay, in life. And in anything you do, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You can be starting a new job. You could be in the middle of a conflict in an intimate relationship. Your mother could be dying, and you could be finishing writing a book. See how you could be doing 4 major arcana cards all at the same time. So when you're doing a spread and you get all these major arcana cards, the major arcana represent, okay, you're on this card right now in some area, and this pathway in some area, and also this one, and also this one, and also this one, and also this one. So the process is to kind of bring your awareness to what you're doing and realize that there are sequences. So in anything, when you start a job and everybody's always excited about a job. Oh, this is going to be great. Did you ever always notice that you just think that the grass is always greener on the other side, and there's this excitement and enthusiasm, which is the Fool card. So the Fool card is, and you've had this happen where you've started a new job and everybody goes, you're crazy. Why did you leave that other good job for this job? You have no idea what's going to happen. But you're excited and enthusiastic anyway because it's something new, and brains love something new. And did you ever notice that when you start something new, you're kind of divinely protected when you're innocent and open and naive, right? So when you have the Fool card, you're kind of weirdly protected because you started something and the universe goes, okay, you're trying something new and we're going to put a protection energy around you. So when we look at the Fool card, you're going to notice that there's all these protections in this card that let you know that even though you're jumping off a cliff, in a weird way, you're sort of safe. But you might want to take a look off that cliff as you go off that cliff, just to be careful, okay? But then when, say, you start a new job, and you're all enthusiastic, the next step is that you have to learn new skills, right? So you have new rules, you have new systems, you have new computer stuff, and you have to learn new skills. And so that becomes the Magus card, which is ruled by Mercury, and it's communication. So, okay, I have to learn new communication skills, I have to learn to talk to my boss, I have to figure out what he wants, I have to learn this new system at work, I have to deal with the other secretary in the room, and all of that is communication skills. And it continues on from there so that you have these different steps that you always go to. You will always, always, always hit the dark side, right? At some point, inevitably, you will hit the dark cards. Insecurity, fear, self-doubt, somebody telling you they don't like you, somebody telling you you did a bad job, failure. That inevitably in everything you will hit those bumps along the way. And the dark cards in the major arcana are like, I always say it's kind of like a sword going into a fire. So you are a sword in a fire, and the dark cards are when you go right into the fire. And that sword gets really hot and really uncomfortable, but you need to heat up the sword to pound the impurities away and to make it smoother and crisper and sharper, right? So technically, swords go into the fire about 5 times. So they go into the fire, they come out, they get pounded and smoothed and cooled off. They go in again. And so life is like that. Like you have to face the fire, come back out, smooth it off. Face the fire, come back out, smooth it off. And you eventually get to the Moon card. And the Moon card is that card that is in the movies when there's a scary movie and there's a monster. Inevitably, you think the monster's dead, right? And then all of a sudden, of course, at the end of the movie, the monster comes roaring back one final time. That final test is the Moon card. So the Moon card, it says, okay, you have one more test to get through before it's that final seal of approval. So the way I like to think of the Moon card is, in the ancient times, the samurai swords were made by these amazing swordsmiths that the samurai sword maker went into a meditative state at the very end of making the sword, heated the sword up, and then put his fingerprints on the hot metal and put his lip prints on the hot metal. And these samurai swords are extremely rare and incredibly valuable. And there are very few to find these, but these are master swordsmiths that they actually would go into that meditative state, which is the Moon card, transcend the physical form, and actually put their imprint on it. So the Moon card is like that final test, like, do you really have such a clear center? Can you navigate the chaos of emotions so clearly that you're willing to touch a hot sword and leave your imprint? Okay, so, and then beyond that, then what you get are these cards that are like, when you have had the final test, you have discernment. So did you ever notice, say you had a friend that was a terrible drug addict, and you spent years trying to help them, save them from drug addiction or alcoholism. And then inevitably, whatever happened, happened. However choice you had to make, you made. But there's a point that you never fall for that energy again, right? So that you never fall for another drug addict. You never get hoodwinked or sucked into their drama ever again, because suddenly you have the discernment. And you can see it a mile away. You're like, I have so been here, don't need to do it, don't need to rescue you, absolutely send you gratitude and compassion, but I'm not falling for this. And those start to be the end cards of discernment and clarity, because It's again about, wow, I know we are all one. I know we're all the same. Deep in our core, we're all completely the same. We have different experiences that we're having, but in our core, we're all light. And yes, some people have huge distortions over their light, and their light is incredibly suppressed, and it's hard to find their light, but they're still light. And so there's a place where you have discernment. It's like, I am light, you are light, I see you, but your distortion is not something I want to deal with at the moment.